Carl Jung, in his exploration of the human psyche, said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." This poetic phrase carries deep psychological meaning, highlighting pain's transformative power. We can see the journey of the wounded hero as a metaphor for the universal human experience. We all carry emotional scars, traumas, and disappointments, but it's by embracing these wounds that we find strength and purpose. The wounded hero is an archetype that appears across mythologies and stories throughout history. The myth of Chiron, the wounded centaur, is a classic example. Incurably wounded, Chiron couldn't heal himself, yet he used his pain to heal others, becoming a great teacher and healer. The pain Chiron endured daily gave him a unique sensitivity to understand and help those around him. For Jung, this archetype illustrates pain's transformative potential. While it may seem destructive, it can also lead to the expansion of the self. When Jung speaks of the process of individuation, the path to self-realization, and integration of inner aspects of the self, he emphasizes the importance of facing what is dark and painful within us. To him, it's in confronting our wounds and shadows that we become whole. The wounded hero, therefore, is one who embraces their pain, acknowledges the depth of their wounds, and uses this understanding to grow, transforming into a more complete and conscious being. Thus, pain, when faced, becomes a doorway to transformation. But this requires courage, as it means looking inward, recognizing our traumas, and instead of running away, finding a deeper meaning in them. This healing process isn't simply about immediate relief, but about integrating the experience into our psyche, allowing our essence to bloom from adversity. Throughout this video, we'll explore how pain and emotional wounds not only shape who we are, but also propel us along the journey of individuation. We'll uncover the power of the wounded hero, understand how strength is born from pain, and see how we can apply this wisdom to our own lives. After all, it may be precisely within the wound that the potential for our greatest transformation lies. In Jungian psychology, the concept of the wound goes beyond isolated suffering. It intertwines with the journey of self-discovery. Emotional wounds, often arising from loss, rejection, and humiliation, represent aspects of our psyche that we tend to repress, avoid, or ignore. Yet, Jung warns us that everything repressed eventually surfaces, often unconsciously projected onto the outside world. This projection can make us see in others the pain and insecurities we haven't yet recognized within ourselves. When we ignore the wounds we carry, they become part of our shadow, that hidden and repressed part of ourselves Jung describes as a dark side of the psyche. The shadow contains both our potential and our trauma. Ignoring the shadow means ignoring an essential piece of the self, avoiding what needs to be understood and often healed. That's why the acceptance of pain and wounds is crucial to the individuation process. Jung believed that individuation is, at its core, a journey of shadow integration. Accepting and confronting our wounds isn't easy, as it involves facing parts of ourselves that we consider undesirable or painful. Yet, in this act of recognition and acceptance lies the potential for transformation. By bringing these repressed aspects into consciousness, we open the path to healing. Pain transforms into strength when we come to see it as a legitimate part of who we are, a profound lesson about our limits and vulnerabilities. The wounded hero archetype, then, symbolizes humanity's ability to transcend pain. Like the centaur Chiron, the wounded hero learns to use his own suffering to understand and assist others. The wound makes him more human, more empathetic, and more sensitive to others' pain. This shows us that, instead of trying to avoid suffering, we should be willing to confront and integrate it into our psyche. The wounded hero represents all those who, rather than defining themselves by their suffering, use it as fuel to grow and help others do the same. In the journey of individuation, he teaches us that true strength lies in accepting our wounds, acknowledging our shadows, and transforming pain into wisdom. To see how the wounded hero archetype appears in daily life, it helps to look at common stories of resilience and overcoming. Imagine someone who, as a child, experienced rejection and abandonment, carrying these traumas into adulthood. Their initial reaction might be to avoid intimacy or develop a self-sufficient personality, aiming to prevent emotional dependence as a shield against pain. Yet, these protective mechanisms end up isolating them, making it difficult to form authentic connections. The wounded hero's journey begins when this person recognizes that the wound is still there, influencing their actions and shaping their relationships. The first step is to confront this pain of abandonment and admit the fear of reliving the trauma. Instead of running from it, they start to explore it, perhaps with the help of a therapist or through deep reflection, seeking to understand how this repressed aspect defines them. This process resembles a descent into the underworld, a common step in heroic myths that Jung relates to individuation. In the myth of Orpheus, for instance, the hero descends into Hades to retrieve his beloved, Eurydice, confronting the darkest aspects of existence. Similarly, when we face our wounds, we descend into our personal hell, but through this courage, we find a way out. Another example is someone facing a serious illness who discovers in the pain a new perspective on life. Instead of despairing, they may reinterpret this experience as a chance to transform their relationship with life, focusing on what truly matters and developing compassion for those facing similar hardships. By engaging consciously with suffering, they gain a broader understanding of existence. This practice of confronting wounds and integrating them into our personal narrative is essential to individuation. Over time, it allows scars to transform into symbols of strength and wisdom. The wounded hero not only heals himself, but also becomes a source of inspiration for others. When we acknowledge the impact of our wounds and turn it into learning, we are truly living out the wounded hero archetype. Thus, the archetype comes alive within each of us, inviting us to see pain as an essential step toward an authentic and fulfilling life. In Jungian thought, the wounded hero reminds us that as humans, we are constantly shaped by our experiences and wounds. However, what truly matters is how we choose to respond to them. Jung suggests that our ability to cope with pain is rooted in our connection to the collective unconscious, where the archetype's universal patterns that guide us are stored. The wounded hero archetype represents not only personal pain, but also a universal expression of human suffering and resilience. Every culture has stories of heroes who transform their pain into strength. Figures like Jesus, Buddha, and even literary characters like Frodo in *The Lord of the Rings* or Harry Potter carry a scar that symbolizes trauma or loss. These characters face adversities that force them to discover the transformative power of sacrifice and empathy. When someone integrates their pain in this way, they open themselves to the healing power that acceptance holds. Pain, when accepted and understood, takes on a new purpose. In Jungian terms, the wound becomes a portal to a new stage of psychic development. The journey of individuation is the path by which we become who we truly are, a process that inevitably involves accepting our wounds and our shadow. When this pain is integrated, it stops being a destructive force and instead contributes to our strength and resilience. The collective unconscious offers us a wealth of symbolic tools for dealing with pain. In dreams, visions, and even in art, the unconscious presents us with healing symbols, like images of water, light, or guides. These images have a curative function, helping us make sense of our painful experiences and inviting us to trust in the psyche's capacity for rebirth. It's as if the collective unconscious is telling us that even in the darkness, there is something meaningful, something that, if integrated, can help us overcome pain and evolve. Thus, the wounded hero doesn't just suffer, he learns to move with and through the pain. He symbolizes humanity's ability to find meaning in suffering and to transform through it. Instead of merely trying to heal the pain superficially, the wounded hero understands that it must be embraced, allowing it to become a vital force, a source of self-knowledge and deep connection with others. Throughout the wounded hero's journey, pain transforms from an enemy into a teacher, revealing itself as a force that drives growth and individuation. In Jung's view, accepting our wounds doesn't mean resigning to them, but integrating them, allowing them to teach us something about ourselves. Each wound is like a mark that reminds us of our vulnerability and, at the same time, our capacity for resilience and learning. The wounded hero inspires us to view our scars not as symbols of failure or weakness, but as signs of our humanity. After all, it is the most challenging experiences that shape us, making us more compassionate and allowing us to connect to others suffering in a genuine way. Each time we face our own pain with courage, we open the door for others to feel empowered to do the same. This is the wounded hero's transformative power. He is not only the one who heals himself, but also the one who, through his own healing, inspires collective healing. Jung's journey of individuation is a call for all of us. It challenges us to become whole, which involves the courage to acknowledge and accept the aspects of ourselves we often reject. The wounded hero is the archetype that best represents this journey. He not only bears his scars, but displays them with the wisdom of someone who has integrated them. He understands that true strength doesn't come from a life free of pain, but from the ability to transform pain into something meaningful. To apply this wisdom in our own lives, we must adopt a mindset of self-compassion and seek meaning in every difficult experience. This doesn't mean romanticizing pain, but seeing it as an essential part of the human journey, of fundamental peace in our understanding of ourselves and our connection to the whole. It's also important to remember that healing and integration are gradual processes. It's not an instant transformation, but a daily effort of acceptance and self-exploration. Ultimately, the wounded hero teaches us that by embracing our wounds, we not only strengthen ourselves but also become sources of light and support for others. Carl Jung believed that the process of individuation, though solitary, reflects outwardly on the world around us. Therefore, each of us, by accepting our own pain and learning to turn our wounds into strength, contributes to a more conscious and compassionate world. Remember, your pain is a legitimate part of who you are, and by accepting it, you pave the way for a fuller, more authentic, and liberated life.